Hey, it's me, Althazar, and welcome to another episode of Achieving Perfection. This is going to be for the event, the Elderspark, and the node, the Elderspark. So, per the usual, I'm going to go ahead, show off the decks, I'm going to get into the node, and then I'll go into deck building in the event that you can't build either of mine. So, for newer players, I would go ahead and suggest something like this with Ob Nixilis. If you don't have Ob Nixilis, don't do this. And then if you have more cards at your disposal, I would go with something like this right here. All right, let's take a look at the node. So the node itself says that, it's level 165. It's got 370 health, which is pretty substantial. The mana bonuses, it gets plus 13 on black, which is massive. You don't want to give this thing black matches. Blue and red are both plus 4, and it gets nothing from green and white. So, the abilities. First one, Dark Ritual. Draw a card. The first card in your hand gets full mana. Yours being the Elderspark, right? So, the second ability is destroy all opposing Vanguard supports on the board. For each support destroyed this way, your Vanguard support with the highest shield gains 2 shields. And finally, Soul Reap, destroy each creature your opponent controls. Your opponent loses 2 life for each creature and creature reinforcement destroyed this way. Those abilities are super nasty. That second ability alone, along with other Vanguard removal that this support this node has, I would not use Vanguards on this node. The permanent support is whenever you activate a loyalty or a Vanguard ability, your opponent loses 2 life. So this is actually a pretty tricky node just because the abilities are so strong. The deck itself that it is using, and once again, let me know if you like this or not, but I'm including the decks so that we can go over them this way. So for creatures, it's running 3 creatures. It's running Doom Whisperer. This one really is not scary, apart from the fact that it's a 6/6 flyer and it can play it on a single black match. Massacre Girl, if this card is still bugged, it's going to be really scary just because of the bug where when it destroys something, the game crashes. So be wary of that. I would actually suggest testing this out if you can before the event. Or at least look up, see if they fixed it. So I don't recall seeing the fix for this, but maybe they did. It's 16 for a 5/5, and when it enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies, each other creature not named Massacre Girl gets -3/-3 until end of turn. And then Pestilent Spirit, which is going to say that whenever you cast a spell, your opponent's first creature gets -0/-3. That's it for the creatures. For the spells, there are, 5? So your opponent discards 2 cards, loses 2 life. So this just means that since you know that they're running discard, do not put fully charged cards at the back of your hand. Despark, exile the opposing Vanguard support with the greatest mana cost. Once again, do not run Vanguards, right? If you don't run Vanguards, then you can get into this really nice position where this card here starts to fill up the Elderspark's hand. For that matter, if you are playing that Ob Nixilis deck, once you complete the creature objective, you can just stop playing creatures entirely. And then your opponent's deck their hand is going to fill up with stuff like Finale of Eternity and Despark and Liliana's Triumph and stuff like that, and they won't be able to play any of it. So they'll just have a 6-card hand that can't do anything, and then you just kill them by drawing cards because of Ob Nixilis' third ability. I digress. So Despark, Finale of Eternity, this thing is nasty. So your opponent's creatures are going to get -0/-X. It'll always cast for the max, so it's always going to be -0/-12. And then exile this card, and then return the first 3 creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. So there's a nice little nifty trick around this card. I'll get into that in just a minute. Liliana's Triumph, destroy your opponent's last creature. Partner, your opponent discards a card. Pretty nasty. The Elderspark, once again, destroy all the opposing Vanguards. So, once again, if you don't have Vanguards, you just lock up slots in the hand. It's going to be running Davriel, so it's going to deal damage if there are 3 or less cards in your hand at the start of your turn, and it's going to make you discard more. And then finally, it's going to be running the Ob Nixilis, which is whenever your opponent draws a card, the support deals 2 damage to the opponent's planeswalker, and it's going to have a destroy target creature. Its controller draws 2 cards. So you definitely want to get rid of that Ob Nixilis if you can. So, decks that I'm suggesting. I'm actually suggesting Ob Nixilis for a few reasons if you don't have a big collection. So one is you need a planeswalker that you can use that is able to kill your opponent. So you want to use a planeswalker that has like a power kill ability if you don't have cards that are going to kill the opponent. So part of why I like Jason Raveler of Secrets so much is because his ability just kills the opponent. And that's the same reason why I like Ob Nixilis. So this third ability is going to be create a support gem with whenever any player draws a card, deal 8 damage to your opponent. So you can just make it so that every time you draw a card and every time your opponent draws a card, your opponent loses 8 life. And so paired with that first ability that only costs 3 loyalty to lose 1 life and draw 2 cards, you can make it so that most turns, especially if you're running gem conversion, you're drawing 3 cards a turn for 24 damage to your opponent, which is a significant chunk of damage. Now, the other reason that I like Ob Nixilis for this is that a lot of the cards in black are going to do you a lot of good in this node for staying alive. So you're going to get a lot of your creatures killed, and Lysolda is going to make it so that when your creatures are killed, then it deals damage to your opponent's planeswalker, no big deal. Damage to their first creature, no big deal. But then it draws you a card. And once again, remember, Ob Nixilis likes it when you draw cards, and in general, when you're losing cards, it's nice to gain cards back for them. Orzhov Racketeers is going to help trim down your opponent's hand, and on top of that, it's also going to come back with spirit tokens that the opposing deck is going to target to kill. So it's going to burn out their kill spells, and they'll have to use 2 for 1. Despoiler of Souls, this is going to help with that power 5 or greater, and every time the opponent kills it, if you've just got some mana in your hand, it's just going to come right back. And so if you're playing smart and you're charging up your kill spells and you just got them charged up and waiting, then your opponent's going to kill this, and it's just going to keep coming back because you'll have that mana charged up. Consecrate is hugely important for Consume because this is going to be giving you life. You will need life gain for this node. You absolutely need it. You will die without it. Engrass Rampage is going to be one of your ways of getting rid of those vanguards. Remember, because you're playing Ob Nixilis and you're trying to draw cards, you don't want the opposing Ob Nixilis vanguard down at all. And for that matter, you don't want Davriel coming down and getting a bunch of stacks and making you discard all your cards. So getting Engrass Rampage into your deck is a pretty good card for this. Death Sprout, I love this card, you know that. So it's going to be serving as removal, and it's going to get us our gem converters. Bada bing and bada boom. Bada boom is really nice because it's going to give us our black creatures back, which is great because our opponent is going to be killing our black creatures a lot. Discovery is going to draw more cards and serve as removal. And finally, you can go ahead and run a few different options here. I have Shadows of the Past here to help kill a little bit quicker and to gain some life. But you could also very well go for, and this was my suggestion for getting around that finale, is you could go ahead and put Leyline of the Void in, and then your opponent can't get their creatures back. So that's really, really good. We like that. Because then all the things you kill don't come back, and you don't have to use multiple kill spells. So, good card. And backing out of there. And Tamiyo. All right, so I actually like Tamiyo the best for this node. And I like it the best for the node because, once again, lifelink is really important for the node. But we can't use a Vanguard like Sorin, which is my usual way of gaining life. So I like that we get to use Sephara in conjunction with Kalia. These two form an indestructible wall for the most part. Just make sure that that finale doesn't take them out. So you need to get multiple stacks down, and then your opponent just can't break through. Etrata is going to get rid of all of your opponent's creatures, but it's going to exile them. And the exile is important because of the finale, so they're not going to come back. So no recursion, no. Nissa's Pilgrimage and Gingerbread Cabin are both going to be your converters, and Death Sprout is going to get you the cabin. Nissa's Revelation is going to draw you cards and give you more life. Deathbridge Chant is going to get you all of your creatures back from the dead, which is great because it's probably going to be getting you a bunch of Kalias back from the dead because it has 5 toughness and has vigilance. But it's going to get you it back for free, and it's going to give you more, what's this called, Saphara? Yeah, it's going to get you more Sapharas back too. So you're just going to get a bunch of creatures back from Dead Bridge Chant, and you're also going to be having them in the graveyard from things like Killer Instinct. Sword of Sinew and Steel. This is going to get rid of all those annoying Vanguards that your opponent's going to have. And so this is your Vanguard removal card for this deck. You want Vanguard removal. It's important for this node. So if you have these cards, I would use this deck. It's going to do really well for you. You won't die. You'll kill everything that your opponent has, and you'll just win. So it's great. It'll be on the quick side of things as things go, but yeah. So, all right. What do you want to look for in this node? So the first thing that you're going to want to look for is, because the objectives are pretty easy, you actually want to go ahead and look at your planeswalkers. So I'm going to suggest a few different planeswalkers and then look at your cards from there. The planeswalker that I think is actually going to be honestly the best one for this node is probably Garruk, Cursed Huntsman. But that being said, given that this is only a planeswalker that you can have for buying, I didn't include it in the video because I don't want you to feel like you have to pay to play. That's not what I'm getting at with the videos. But if you do have him, he's maybe best case scenario for this particular node. Mainly because not only does he kill, but he gains you life and he draws you cards. And then with Cursed Predation, you can go ahead and create creatures that will kill your opponent, and then that support is pretty darn good too. Furthermore, you can match the black gems, and you can just prioritize matching black and take away all of the opponent's good matches. So Garruk is really good for this one. Angrath can be pretty solid, especially if you have Altar of Dementia. I think I got it. Wait for it. Card pool, show all cards. Altar. Yes, I got it right. Nice. All right, yeah, this with Angrath's third, not fair. You win. So, yeah, that's a pretty good choice if you have that card. Otherwise, I don't actually like Jace Unraveler of Secrets here. No life gain, no bueno. Karn is a pretty good choice for this node if you have a pretty big collection. So that's actually a really great choice for the node. I don't like Koth. Once again, no life gain, no bueno. Cure is not bad, which means that Brocon's not bad. Both of the Bolosses are not bad either. Those are pretty decent choices. Obnixilis is going to be your easiest like new player one. So yeah. And then finally, Tamio. And that's really about it for planeswalkers that I would go for in this. So then you're going to go to your cards and you're going to look at your creatures. And honestly, if you have mythics and masterpieces, go ahead, start there. If you don't, go ahead, start with your rares. But you're looking for the big boy creatures. So you're looking for the creatures that have no Gishath. You are not standard anymore. Sad times. You're looking for the creatures that have big power, and ideally creatures that you don't mind going to the graveyard, and so you'll have ways of getting them back. That's important. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just go ahead, type in life, right? See what cards do you have that are going to give you life, because you need that to stay alive. If you're not getting life in this node, like I said, you're going to find that you'll wind up probably dying to just not having life. So yeah, I mean that's an obvious thing, but what I mean is that the deck whittles down your life a lot, just like with a lot of little abilities that are going to tick away your life, tick away your life, tick away your life. So you want to make sure that you have life gain. And then ways of exiling your opponent's creatures instead of destroying them is optimal, so that you just get rid of their graveyard. If you can't do that, then it's not the biggest deal in the world. But go heavy removal, as heavy as life gain as you can, and really that's my suggestion for the node. So good luck, I hope you get perfection, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.